Hello and welcome to the Craftsman Show. My name is your host. Wait, did you say 4K resolution? Yep, that's right. The Craftsman. Have you ever had that dream where you take your favorite action figures of all times and you look at these fantastic sculpted details like the knee pads, the pockets, gloves, utility belts, the backpacks, the potentially unnecessary control panels, and of course, the hoses and visors and helmets. And you tell yourself, imagine a figure that is a combination of the best parts of these figures. So you video yourself cutting up vintage action figures and lose half your subscribers and all but 3 direct supporters. Thankfully, that was just a dream. When I woke up, I thought about MC Hammer saying, "Please, Craftman, don't hurt him." But instead, let's sample. And see if we can make a new action figure without destroying our old ones. Chopping up a dozen figures to make one new figure don't feel right, even if you was the one that pay for them. But can we agree that there are some figures that would maybe be acceptable to cut off? You know, maybe they don't have the same value, or it was like somebody decided what was missing from Star Wars figures was protein.
How's it, Lucas? Where's the letter?
They had my man on growth hormones right there. Look at that. Poor Lucas. It would be so much easier to just go ahead and cut while we inspired, you know. But in a previous episode, I showed how that you can copy or sample designs from nature. So I'm thinking we could use this technique to make action figures. First, we have to select our figures, do some side by side, see if this looks good with that or if we get a cohesive look. I mean, at least a somewhat cohesive look. And not something like, you know, my first bootleg figure. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so we've got a pile of potential candidates with details that we like. To copy those details, I'm going to use some mold putty. This easy mold is a 2-part silicone putty that I've used many times. It's easy to mix, 1-to-1 ratio, and in my experience, you can just eyeball it. Hold up, Craftman. Look at all these details. Crevices and creases. Shouldn't we use liquid silicone? True, liquid silicone often gives finer results than putty. But let's say we want to take these characters apart as little as possible. By the way, to take apart figures without breaking, I use the well-known boil and pop technique. When boiled, the PVC becomes soft like noodles and you can just pop it right out. But be careful and wear you some hot protection gloves. But back to the silicone putty, which I keep separated in separate hands. To get the best results possible, first we mix the A and B parts until we get a uniform grape bubblegum consistency. And now we split the difference between accuracy and speed. Find the details you want to make sure get captured. And place a tiny piece of putty right into that detail. Mash it, smush it, mash it. Now we can start bulking out the putty mold. You want to use good, firm pressure for this part right here. And I roll it around. Remember, rolling putty around the surface helps to prevent trapped air. The molds will be ready in 30 minutes. But we don't want to stop now. While we at it, let's go ahead and just make buku molds. Even if we're not going to use them, it's good knowing that in a half hour, we might have enough little molds to make us a figure. Now, I'm very tempted to take these newer Star Wars figures that have neat helmets and things and just go ahead and cut them, you know, because I got multiple of these, you know, they're not like they're worth like a lot of money or nothing, but I just got a bunch of them. I said I could cut that helmet. No, we're going to do our non-destructive craft, man. Come on now, you know better. Let's copy this Adventure People control panel. Maybe we'll use it. Here's one from left field. Any of y'all remember Galoob Trash Bag Bunch from about 1992? This gentleman's backpack is pretty neat. We want to keep pressure coming from all directions because if we just push down, it's just going to go wow. So I'm going to put my thumbs around it and then just kind of form a little mold box with my hands, all right. Look at this. Craftman, when did you start using plastic wrap in your mold? 5 seconds ago today, actually. We going fast, everybody. We trying to keep that creativity going and stay motivated. We ain't got time to do a whole bunch of complicated molds, you know. With silicone mold putty, I try to use about as little as I can get away with while still maintaining some structure. If you'd like to make your own putty and maybe save a few dollars in the process, a real simple DIY solution is to open up some household silicone and mix it with some cornstarch until you get a dough consistency. Even you can add some food coloring if you want to. And if you want a more flexible mold with a slower cure time, mix in some mineral oil. Once cured, you have yourself a tough rubbery piece right there. All right, we have a little batch of molds, and now the question is, what do we put in these molds? Craftman gonna use epoxy sculpt. This is what I've made my other figures from, and it's what I'm comfortable with, but it comes with some caveats. Ooh, Craftman, fancy word. Would you like some caveats? Yeah. What I'm trying to say is wax is the preferred medium for toy making. We tried a little Castelline and monster clay in a previous video, and wax is honestly ideal for toy making. Here's some actual toy wax sent to me by my friend Kurt Laus. And this is a wax test casting. Wax can accept sharp details and is easy to smooth, and it does not show fingerprints. If you're interested in wax sculpting, please check out Kurt Laus on Instagram. I also received an action figure armature right here. This is a prototype version. The idea behind it is, alright, you basically have a skeleton that follows the action figure format, which means we can check articulation while giving the clay something to hang on to. And good thing too, because epoxy clay is slumpy. I often receive messages about epoxy sculpt, and I just want to say, you don't normally want to sculpt with it right at the beginning. You want to give it at least 10 minutes. Better 20 minutes. It's even less. 30 minutes. Now look, that's less sticker. 40 minutes. Now we starting to cook with real grease. 50 minutes. Oh, but look, that's about the happy medium for Craftman. It's 50 minutes already starting to cure. It's a nice enough hour window of time, hour plus, that you can work in my experience. And here's where the epoxy clay stickiness actually comes into handy. Since it's a two-part epoxy clay, We can stick it and don't need to bake it in an oven to cure. Anytime I use epoxy sculpt, I like to keep some solvent nearby. In the past, I would just wet my fingers with water, but I find that the solvent gives a less chalky finish to the surface. And now we come to our first lookout point. It's this area right here. This is the slightly more complicated hip area. See that little flange right there, little thin piece? All right, totally doable. You can go that route, or you can go to simpler T-hips right there. See that? Straight. And also, remember to give yourself good clearance so that your legs can turn. And this is the clumsy, ugly, lumpy stage where we wonder, should we even started this project? Because, this looks, I don't know, but we just have to have faith in what we are not able to see yet. And let's not forget, this is just a base on which to add our sampled parts. A little rake tool, or AKE, is real handy to remove clay as well as a hobby knife. Still ain't looking like much yet. I know, but we keep on scrape it, smooth it, rub it, just taking our time. And it's handy to check if you got a little scrap leg like I do. Check your leg clearance every now and then. And now that we have a base, we can finally use our putty molds. And just like when we make the molds, we want to use firm pressure and pick up all the details. Now, as always, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So, looking at this leg mold right here, we can stuff our clay down into there, correct? All right, yes, but we could also just take it to the next step, get us a little piece of pipe or something like that, the same diameter. Look at that. And stick a little piece down in there, just jab it in there. All right, so now what you can do is you can put your clay in there, in and all around it, and you would have a plastic joint peg that can take the wear and the friction. Or if you want to, you could just use a mold from 5 years ago. That might work. Never want to discourage somebody from just using wire or coming up with their own armature, or you don't even have to use an armature. We can always do like toy polar and just use Lego pegs. The diameter is a nice match for most 3.75-inch figures. Craftsman going to try to do the extra and do the whole armature up, and that look like a mummy. Now we can use these pieces as is, all right? These have been cured and popped out of the mold, and they just, rigid. And for some things, you probably do want to do it that way. Let it keep its form in the mold, all right, for delicate pieces. But what I like to do is to take me some pieces and take them out while they soft, all right? And then cut them. See that? Now this right here is Craftsman's piece of the resistance, because look, that right there, all right, that's brittle. I can't even hardly break it. Hold up. Yeah, I knew I could do it. See that's brittle, but we can make as many of these little details as we need without damaging the originals. But I like to take my mold, pack it down in there real good. Let it sit, all right, for maybe 20, 30 minutes. We're going to treat it like a stamp, all right, like a clone brush in Photoshop, but with rubber and real materials. Look at this cattywampus whoop-de-doo. That's all right. We can just scratch it and try it again. And I don't want to completely destroy our progress. I'm going to set this to the side, let it cure, and work on the rest of it. Yeah, so I got some clay pushed down into these molds right there. Look at that. And I just might say, all right, I wonder what this would look like. All right. And let's just see. That's what I'm talking about, craft man. Do what? And we could just try something else, you know?
Believe, achieve, courage. That is right. Almost. 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 Treasure every extra egg.
While the parts finished curing, I thought it would be fun to go outside and let's find some. There we go. Spiders. That's right. All you have to do is get a flashlight, turn it on, and place it somewhere above your head or beside your head. That way, the light should reflect from the spider's ass back toward your ass. Easy. Have fun. I don't know how this is useful. Our action figure is almost complete. Normally this is where I would make a mold or maybe send it for 3D scanning. But first, I want this to feel complete. And for that, we need some paint. I like the simplicity of this TIE fighter pilot right here. Let's use that as inspiration. I also made the visor UV reactive. Watch this right here. So what's the next step? Well, now I'm going to send this off to my buddy at ArtLab 3D to have it scanned. so that way we can make it available for direct supporters. Speaking of that, we have a poll going on Patreon right now to help name this figure. If you would like to participate, we'd love to have you. The 3D scan will become free along with the rest of our figures on Patreon. I hope this video proved that you can make your own figurine, action figure. And look, don't be afraid to just sculpt directly onto your armature. That's how Craftsman made this figure, which we probably gonna have to boil in water to cure it now that I think about it. If you want to know where to find any of the supplies shown in this video, please check the description. There's going to be a bunch of links for this episode. I also highly recommend this book right here if you're serious about getting into toy making. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I love y'all and I want you to keep on. What was that? Keep on. Steady crafting. All right. Craftman, I really appreciate how that you said non-destructive. And yeah, look at all these. Legs, arms, torso. Craftman, you a monster. Hold up now. Don't y'all remember? Previously, we discussed how you can get durable, flexible parts using specialty resin. We even made a replica biker scout arm, which is the one Craftman cut up earlier. I think. Pretty sure. It might not have been actually, now that I think. And for anybody who wants to just cut up and kit bash their PVC figures, I recommend using a good paint that's made for vinyl right there. Look at the. In my test so far, this bonds very well to PVC traditional action figures, but that's about the best binding of vinyl paint that I have used so far. Just, anybody dealing with real deal PVC, I wanted to make sure I mention Vinyl Wonder. This stuff just relaxes me to the maximum that I can be. Yeah. Oh, you got to be playing with me right now.
Believe. Achieve. Courage. That is right. Almost. 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 Treasure every extra